Team, good morning. Well, actually, it's good afternoon. I'm running a bit late. Hope you've had a great week. Welcome to another episode of Get Coached with me. I'm Coach Kev. Great to have you aboard. Today, we're going to have a little chat about heart rate variability, or more commonly known as HRV, and what you can do and how you can use it and how it will benefit your training and lifestyle, to be fair. And we're just going to go through what is it, how do you use it, and some different ways to track it. And we won't go too deep into the science because it does get pretty full on if you really want it to, and we'll also point you to some places if you want to grab some more in-depth information. Plenty of stuff out there, that's for sure. So, what is HRV? Heart rate variability. Basically, it's a measurement of the time between each heartbeat. So, when you're out running or riding or what have you, and you've got your heart rate monitor on, it's telling you how many beats per minute. That heart rate variability measures the distance between those beats. So the time it takes between one beat, the next beat, and so on and so forth. Because it has shown that, or it's been proven plenty of times, that your heart rate variability is showing your stress response or your autonomic nervous system response to stress or stressors, both positive and negative, or eustress, which is good stress, training, etc., and distress, so sickness, fatigue, health, alcohol, dehydration, etc., etc. And what you can do is you can use these markers to improve your training and your recovery and keep yourself on track, because for most of you who are probably endurance athletes out there, consistency is the key when it comes to training. It's the single most important part of becoming a good endurance athlete and getting that improvement. So, heart rate variability, how do we track it? Also, how do we measure it? Is probably how do we measure it? So, there's a few different ways. The most common ways are using a phone, like an iPhone or a Samsung or whatever, with an app on it, such as Elite HRV, or the ones that we use, which is HRV for training. What you do is every time you wake up in the morning, you put your finger over your camera, and it uses the light sensor on your camera to measure your heart rate and your HRV. Now, this has been clinically proven to be extremely accurate. If you want to see a little bit more information about that side of it, go and check out Dr. Dan Plews and Dr. Paul Larson's articles on the Plews and Prof website. There's plenty of good information there that will take you down a rabbit hole if you're keen to have a look at that, that's for sure. So you use that, and then what it does, your app will then sort of over a period of time will give you a trend line, and once you've got that trend line set, you then you've got a good idea of what's normal and what isn't. So pretty important. Other ways to track it, there's obviously clinically, you can use clinical machines. Most of us don't have access to them, so that's probably not real convenient. There are certain types of heart rate straps that will measure RMSSD as well, such as Polar and Wahoo. I don't believe Garmin do that currently. Or there's a couple of new things out and about. One of which I've actually got on here, which is right here. This is an Aura ring. This doesn't only track my HRV, but it also tracks my sleep and my body temperature. And it helps me sort of get a handle on what things affect my sleep and my HRV in a fairly in-depth way. And some newer ones which I've heard of and I haven't had a lot to do with, such as the Whoop strap, which I believe is becoming quite popular in places as well, which is similar to a watch or a type of thing. It's a strap you put on your arm. Obviously, it does all the same features as or similar features, I believe, as what the Aura ring does. So what do? We get our HRV app, we start tracking our HRV, and we start noticing there's some trends. So what do we do once you're starting to understand those trends? Well, the first thing is knowing the difference between positive and negative stress and what that does to your HRV, and then how do you react to that? A lot of the apps will give you guidance. I know HRV for training gives you both your data-driven response, so what the numbers actually say, along with some subjective questions. How are you feeling? Are you fatigued? Did you drink last night? Have you been traveling? Blah 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 blah. And it comes up with a score and then a recommendation on how or what you should be doing. Yep, you're good to go. Oh, you've got a little bit of fatigue there. Might be a good day to just back it off, etc., etc. I would assume most of the apps, I know the Aura app does that as well. In a way, it tells the ready state as well. So I would assume, obviously, Whoopstrap and Elite HRV and those kind of things would also do the same. So you wake up in the morning, you've done that, it's given you a recommendation, and that's a good time to make a decision. Do I modify my session to suit the day? My HRV's dropped a bit. Generally, dropping is a negative response to your load or stress, whatever that stress is, and generally a positive trend, as a general rule, will be will allow you will be a positive outcome. Go for it. So you get up, you've noticed you've got a bit of a negative trend or an acute drop, a sudden drop in your HRV score. Good time at that point to go away and just maybe modify your session, back off the effort a little bit, change it. One of the things that HRV has been shown to do is also predict sickness. So a sudden or acute drop in your HRV over a period of time where you still feel good, you go out and you still actually feel good, can be a marker for an upcoming sickness as well. So just keep that in mind, that it can be pretty good in that space. So it's not just for training stress, it's also for life stress. It really does show the effects of negative stresses in acute way. So for me, or for us and our team, that we use this on a weekly basis. We watch the trends and we track, and the guys and girls know that if they get a really negative response and they're not feeling good, it's time to back the session off or give it a miss and have a rest. So we try and educate our teams to do that. What we look for is that positive trend. So what we look for is we use say Training Peaks, the total stress score, the TSS score. And we work out what their current load capacity is and see when they get a negative response. So we know that X amount of training at X amount of effort is positive, but if we go over that in either way, we get a negative response. So that allows us to keep our guys fit and healthy, hopefully prevent injuries, which is extremely important. Obviously, again, going back to that consistency piece. And then just making sure that they're happy and healthy. We want to get them out and enjoying themselves every single day. Obviously it's hard sessions you don't always enjoy, and I'm sure there's some of the guys and girls laughing at me for that. But making sure that we can track that and look at that positive response is what we're aiming for. If we give them a big day, if we have a really big training session, say for an Ironman athlete, you do a big Saturday or a big ride, which has a fairly long ride with some effort into it, and then a solid run off the bike, what you will generally see is the next day an acute response to that fatigue. So the next day is where we balance it out, we back the effort off potentially, and make sure that we keep all of that under control. So for you guys out there, the simplest way to get onto HRV is to get one of the apps. We prefer HRV for training. I find it really easy to use. The data is fantastic. You can go as deep or as shallow as you want in terms of how complicated you want the data or how much information you want. You can just use the basics, or you can really dive right in and track some longer term trends, see what's causing you potential issues outside of your training stress, good and bad sleep, room temperature. There's a whole bunch of things there. So you grab your app and get on board. I find that's the simplest way. So you get up in the morning, takes about between 1 and 2 minutes. 2 minutes is a good number. A more accurate reading generally gives you a better response, but you can do it in 60 seconds. Up you get, use your app, make sure you trust it. It's a pretty good guide. There's lots of feedback and lots of studies out there showing what happens when you ignore it. I can put my hand up and say I've ignored it and had terrible days. I've ignored it when I've been getting sick as well, and there has been some reports of people ignoring it and then being injured the same day, which could be along the lines of some studies around dehydration and soft tissue injury that are out and about in the big wide world at the moment. So the benefits for you are obviously tracking your load and understanding where your maximum load is at your current fitness. Bingo. That's number one, making sure that you're recovering well. So if you're recovering well, you're absorbing your load, you're definitely going to get fitness without fatigue and sickness, which is very, very, very important for everybody. And then hopefully as you move in towards race day, as you taper off, you undo that load, you freshen up, you should see that nice positive response. It should pick up It might drop the day before racing. It does happen. A lot of people don't sleep very well the night before racing. I actually tell my guys not to take it on race day because, the stress sometimes of race day can make it drop acutely, and you don't want to get up and jump into a negative mind frame because your HRV app said you're in a bad space. So that's just a personal thing that we use. Look, it's up to you. If you can deal with seeing a bad number or potentially a bad number and understand the reason why, go for it. There's no reason why you shouldn't do that, but we've just found that's a more positive way. Just get up and focus on your racing. We're not, by that point, it's race day and you're ready to go, ready to rock and roll. So make sure you get onto that. If you want to go deep down the rabbit hole, there's plenty of information. As I mentioned earlier, a great place to start is Dr. Dan Plews and Dr. Paul Larson, Professor Paul Larson, should I say, and on their website, Plews and Prof, they've got plenty of information. I know both of them have been involved in studies across the long term. There's some online courses you can do to really dive into more about eustress and distress and understanding RMSSD and the different markers that the heart puts out. So that's different electrical frequencies depending on which part of the contraction, the contraction of the muscles around the heart you're measuring. So you can go way down a rabbit hole in some really high quality information. The HRV4 training website is great if you want some really detailed. Marco and his team there have done a lot of work, a lot of studies, and put a lot of data and a lot of helpful information on how they use it, both with from individuals through to international team sports. I know they're involved in quite a few there. So HRV4training or HRV4T.com, great bunch of information there. As always, if you have any questions, please drop them down there, and we'll do our best to answer them or point you in the right direction. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button down there. That would be great, and like the video, and that would be fantastic. If you are watching this on Facebook, please share this with your friends and family in the groups that you're in, because the more information that we can get out there, the more that we can help you guys. If you want to follow us on all the social things, you'll find us on Twitter at GetKoachD, and you'll also find us on obviously Facebook as well at GetKoachD, which we throw a whole bunch of information out there. Check out our website, which is GetKoachD.com. We've got a whole bunch of information as well as all this cool stuff. This is the old stuff, so we've got the new stuff out there now. I'm still waiting for mine. I think some of our guys and girls have already got it, and I'm a bit behind. I was a bit slack in ordering mine, so you can order those at any time. Get on them. They're super cool, super comfy. Come out of Queensland, Australia, so make sure you support that. That would be fantastic. As always, guys, love to hear your questions and your feedback. Really appreciate your support. It's been really, really good. Hopefully, we're going to start putting this into just an audio format as well. So as soon as we get that under control, once I get past my own technical difficulties, we'll let everybody know. So obviously, that's going to be an easier format for most people. And thanks again for listening or tuning in. It's been greatly appreciated. Look after yourselves. Have a great week, and we'll be back real soon with another episode of Get Coached. Cheers.